Hi guys, Simon Trizelian, do some more voice of reason today. As you know, I do a lot of strategy stuff for companies and marketing, that type of thing, based on special forces principles and based upon sort of both tactical and strategic concerns. So I've been following the campaigns of the political opponents this time round to see just what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And I think I've seen a bit of a pattern going on here, and I'm going to go through sort of 5 major strategic things that I think Trump has done well, and countering that with the Kamala, quite the reverse. She's done like 5 major things that have not done well at all, and I think this could actually have quite a big bearing on the actual election itself. So let's go through. So the first one was obviously after the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania, the time that Trump just stood up and raised his fist. I mean, what an iconic moment. I mean, that picture, I think, will go down in history as one of the most iconic pictures of all time. When I saw that, I thought, that's it. That's it. That's the election in the bag. And it wasn't so much because the media just almost like put a D-list on it. They just refused to show it. And I'm surprised actually that the Trump campaign didn't actually make more of that. I know they had t-shirts on and things like this, but that was an iconic moment, and from a marketing point of view, huge, absolutely huge. The second one was the trolling of the Kamala Harris McDonald's story. It was very clear that she'd never worked a day in her life in McDonald's. And then when they put out the photograph of her in the McDonald's uniform, only to find that it was someone that had died, and they'd just put her face on it, I thought that was a huge misstep. But Donald Trump actually capitalized on that by going to McDonald's and actually working a day of his life in McDonald's. And I think it was done with a lot of tongue-in-cheek, but it was joyous. It was actually quite fun. People enjoyed it. People went for thousands of people turned up outside just to get served by Donald Trump. So I thought that was a major coup by both trolling your opposition and creating an event that was very much iconic. I thought that was just incredible. The Madison Square Garden thing, I mean, that again was tried to be pictured by the Kamala Harris campaign as a Nazi rally, and that really fell flat. No one believed that for a moment. Everyone does Madison Square Garden, and a number of Lyndon Johnson has done it. I mean, a number of presidents have done Madison Square Garden. But the fact that he could actually do that, with like 80,000 people standing outside to try and get in on the 20,000 seats, and the incredible lineup that he had as well, I thought that was probably one of the best orchestrated campaign events that I've ever seen. He had all of his allies there, including Democrats, people like Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., people that have basically fled the coup. And having things like, Hulk Hogan, Elon Musk. I mean, he's surrounding himself with some iconic people. You can't name any of those in the Democratic Party. All of them are A-lister celebrities, and many have been tainted by the P. Diddy scandal. So, I mean, even bringing J-Lo out and Beyonce, I mean, these are very, very toxic personalities at the present time. And I think that could fall really, really badly. So that was in the Kamala Harris misstep column. And then we had the garbage thing. I've made another video on that. We all know that, this is a standing joke in Puerto Rico, and it was conflated by the other side, but, that's just the way it is. But the fact that someone in Trump's campaign managed to get hold of a garbage truck the next day and put him in a vest and get him to drive the truck was genius. That was a genius troll. I mean, it really was. And again, it was done tongue-in-cheek. It wasn't done nastily. And people just rallied around that in the same way as they rallied around his comment being a felon. People wearing felon t-shirts and felon hats. They're rallying around this. It's like, what can you do to this guy to bring him down? You've tried impeachment. You've tried lawfare. You've tried everything. You even tried to frigging kill him. and he still gets stronger. I don't know that they have any. Um, I don't think they've got any answer to it, to be honest. So let's look at the Kamala missteps. First of all, the Biden coup. I think that was atrocious. The fact that the first time really that any sitting president has been kicked out. Well, I mean, it was kicked out, and it was just short of doing the 25th Amendment on his inability to serve. And I think that has created a bitterness within Biden. I mean, he was always a bit of a bitter old man anyway, but now this is not loving Joe anymore. This is Joe that wants to secure his legacy, and the only way he can secure his legacy is by being the only Democratic president to beat Trump. So he actually doesn't want Kamala Harris to beat Trump, and he seems to be doing everything in his power to stop that, and spitefully go back at Obama, who I think was the instigator. So we got that. The fact that she hasn't done any interviews at all with the press, I think, is a massive misstep. She's only going for very, very safe interviews that are fully scripted, and it's obvious that they're scripted, with very, very pro-democratic outlets. And I think that doesn't do anything for anybody, because all it does is back up that the Democrats are going to vote for it anyway. It doesn't do anything for independents. It doesn't sway them at all, and it certainly doesn't convert any of the Republicans. So I think that's a massive misstep. You know, when you're pulling out of doing a massive press release, sorry, a press conference, and then you're sitting down with like daddy issues podcast or whatever. I mean, that just sends a wrong message. I think the getting of Tim Walz was a massive misstep. I mean, this guy is shown to be massively incompetent, very, very pro-communist in China. And I think there's a lot of really deep, dark skeletons in that guy's closet, and I mean closet. I think that's going to come out, and I think it will come out if they lose, that's going to come out. If they win, you may be able to hide it, but I think there's some really deep, dark stuff that's going to go on there, and I think her inability to get Shapiro in may have turned the election for him, who's a very popular governor, but a Jew, and she didn't want to annoy the progressives in the left wing of the party by taking on a Jew. So that was that. You know, he was by far the best candidate for her vice presidency. The Biden MAGA hat thing was unbelievable. I mean, the fact that someone gave him a MAGA hat, and on national TV with all the press there, he wore the MAGA hat while eating an ice cream. Oh my God. I mean, that is just a gift for the Republican Party. And again, he didn't need to do that. He could have just looked at it and just tossed it back at him or whatever, and people would go, yeah, that's fine. The fact that he wore it and took it with him as well, it's like, what? I mean, it's unbelievable. I think that was probably one of the biggest missteps. But was it a misstep? I think it may have been something that Biden has done spitefully. And then, of course, we had the garbage thing where they tried to spin it and say, oh, it was about an apostrophe. No, it wasn't. He knew exactly what he was saying. And this was his Hillary basket of deplorables moment, and at the same period of time in that election as well. You know, you basically demonize half of the country. So it made the base, the MAGA base, really, really riled up. They're definitely going to vote now. It made the Democrats do a facepalm, and it made the independents go, well, if he's not even in on the game, why should we believe him? You know, why should we believe Kamala Harris? And I think that was a huge misstep. But again, was it just spiteful Biden just doing his grumpy old man thing? Possibly. So I think there's going to be a lot of lessons and a lot of soul searching being done in these campaigns. I think, to be honest, the GOP in this time, they've run a great ground game, which they never do. They always get stuffed by the Democrats on the ground game. And there's a reason for that, is that the Democrats have usually been the party of the people. So they have a lot of volunteers that can get out there and get that vote out. But everyone saw what happened in 2016. You know, I don't believe that the Republicans thought they were going to win. I don't think Trump thought he was going to win at all. and that's backed up by the fact that he puts the wrong people into his cabinet. He was totally unprepared for governance, and I think he was lucky to have a good 4 years until the pandemic came. In 2020, they went in a little bit complacently, and of course with that we had all the vote nonsense going on, which has been indicated by that 2000 Mules film. There was definitely cheating within the election. There's no doubt about that. And I think that is going to have some ramifications. What it did do is it showed that the voting early and mail-in voting was a strategy that was only used by the Democrats and not used by the GOP. That's different this time. And as you've seen, early voting now is actually more a GOP thing than it is a Democratic thing. So I think that their ground game has increased dramatically, and I think there's going to be a huge change in the percentage of votes this time around. So people have learned the lesson. I think Trump has run a very, very good campaign, very well balanced, a lot of interviews, a lot of things happening. Whereas the Kamala Harris campaign has actually fallen short in nearly every metric. So it's going to be an interesting time all round. So that's Simon Chiselian, that's my thoughts today, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye now.